Hello, sorry, me and Matt were just having a little conversation in the background. I didn't realise that the timer had clocked down. Sorry, everyone. Hello, welcome to tonight's Rail Plan TV. I am JD, and I'm joined, as ever, by my partner in crime, Matt Pedalston. Hello, Matt. How's it going?
Hi, JD. I am doing very, very well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. It's been a long day, but we're getting to the point now where it's the exciting part of the day, and I hope everybody at home is excited as well. We'll be showcasing the Harlem Line, the much anticipated Harlem Line tonight, for all of your eyes and ears and all of the other senses that we can't quite reach through the medium of streaming, I guess. So hello everyone. Glad to see you're joining us tonight. We've got an exciting kind of action-packed. Not quite sure how long we're going to be streaming for tonight. We'll just see how it goes.
Okay. Yeah.
But we will be showing you the new Harlem Line Grand Central Terminal to North White Plains route, and that will be coming hot off the press next Thursday. If you are a Steam player, you can get the pre-order now. But I would recommend you probably check this stream out first before you pre-order and make your decision based on what we're showing you tonight. And then you can pre-order and you get 10% off on Steam if you pre-order. In the build-up to the Thursday, really. So before we get started, Matt, before we show everybody the goods, tell us a little bit about this particular route. Why did we choose to do the Harlem Line? What kinds of things can players expect from it, and what should we be looking out for over the course of the next hour and a half?
So, we wanted to do. The last time we did a route like this was the Long Island, and there's just something really awesome about this corridor coming out of Grand Central Terminal Station. It's just called Grand Central Terminal, not Grand Central Station. That's a different place. Coming on up along the line via Harlem 125th until I can't remember where now, where it turns off and the line splits. It's such a, you're in the middle of the thick of New York City, and there's no city like it in the world, and so driving these commuter trains up and down that line is fantastic. So things to look out for are Grand Central Terminal itself, and the it's quite an extensive tunnelled approach as you come out of Grand Central Terminal, and really interesting to drive. A bit on the slow side, but it speeds up. It's not Atlantic Terminal slow, don't panic. And then you arrive at Harlem 125th, which is the first station as you hit the surface. The next, you've got a number of scenic things going on as you travel down the line. One of which is Mott Junction, where you've got the split off to Yankee Stadium on the left, or continuing up this railway line, effectively straight on. And you can drive to and from Yankees. Yankees is included, even though it's not technically part of the Harlem Line, because during game days, so they run some extra services sometimes to support, and also sometimes they use there is a depot beyond the Yankee Stadium stop, which is not included in the route, but is sometimes in reality used for storing trains and so forth. And so it's a place where you can start and bring trains into service and take them out. So it's just a nice bit of variety. As you carry on up the line, eventually you get to this split where some of the trains head over towards the northeast corridor, over to New Rochelle, which some of you may remember from an earlier route, and then our line carries on with the Harlem Line, and that's a really nice change of tone of the route at this point, because that almost sort of puts a line across city to country, and suddenly the route gets really green. So you've gone from a world where there's very little green. It's all concrete and bricks and mortar and all this. It's very grey. Well, it's not very grey, actually. It's quite colourful. And then suddenly you're in the countryside as you then make it out to White Plains, North White Plains, and then there's a depot at North White Plains which is included, so trains start and stop there. So there's plenty to see. It takes about an hour to do a stopping service up there. Some trains run, what they do, some services will actually run non-stop, Grand Central Terminal to White Plains, and then they'll begin stopping service. Now, in reality, they head off up the other half of the line, or they continue up to southeast, which isn't included in the line. Our line stops at North White Plains, but it means that you've got these express runs, which are I think 40 minutes or something like that. So you can do non-stop runs up and down the line as well as stopping runs up and down. So there's quite a lot of variety in terms of the service patterns as well. So it's not just one thing repeated lots and lots of times. So there's a lot of work gone into the timetable, which is based on the real timetable. And you got the two trains. You got the M7A, the M3A. Actually, let's just pop over to service mode here and look at this. Is the M3A, which is a variation on the M3 that you'll have seen on the Long Island Railroad, but it's not exactly the same. It's one of those things that, and the more you look into it, the more differences there are. It's quite extensive.
We'll show you all of the differences over the course of the stream. But yeah, this is quite an exciting part of the route, and one of the bits that I'm actually most excited to see is actually how it differs between what you might have seen in Long Island versus what will be in the Harlem route.
Yeah, so you will find that there's a lot of changes being on. So lots of model changes because they are different models, and sound changes, physics changes, just across the board. The team have worked extra hard on that, and we've also had a lot of really, really great guidance from a couple of local rail fans and even someone who works on the line. So have provided us with a lot of fantastic information, insight, and been playing it and providing us some sort of change this here, change that there, and so on and so forth. So it's been we've benefited a lot from that. So a big thank you to everybody who's helped us test the route.
And if you didn't hear that, new audio, everybody. Ooh, we've got.
I'll let you judge it for yourself when we run it in a minute. We're going to run both trains tonight. We're not going to run full line on both trains, but we are going to run both trains. So you will see the whole line, but using two trains. And you'll be able to judge the audio for yourself. So don't take my word for it.
Yep. Just before we get started and we kill the face cams when we get into the game, we will be taking your questions in the chat tonight. Feel free to chuck them in. I will ask as many as we can do. We have had some questions from our forum players. So they're all in my big long script of questions that we have to my right, and we'll be answering as many as we can over the course of the stream. We want to try and give you as much information as we can do. We're going to try and do, as you said, a run of the entire route using two different locos to try and give you as much visibility on what you can expect as possible. We are streaming on a Series X tonight, as you can see above. And we will try and do perhaps a PC stream next week when we do the release stream, which will be next Thursday as well. Yeah, just to prove it, Matt has got his Xbox controller out.
Yeah, got the Xbox controller, yeah.
Okay, shall we get started, Matt?
Yeah, let's turn the cameras off. And I'll turn off the Series X thing as well. There you go. Right, okay, so I'm going to set it in the summer. We're just going to take it nice and easy so you can see the route really clearly. M7A, and I'm going to run train 513. Come on. Stop being like that. Press all the right buttons in all the right order. Magical things happen, apparently. But
we were due a technical mishap of some description. Normally it happens
stunningly
well
so far today.
Yeah, so normally it happens before we go live, but this time it happens when we're actually live. So
here we go. Right, game's loading now. So here we are in the cab. We're at Grand Central Terminal. Just give it a moment to finish loading. There we go. So this is not the same cab as the M7. It is slightly different. What I can't do, unfortunately, is rattle off exactly what the differences are. So if you spot them, then go and highlight it and share the info on there. So there's a lot of work been done. So one of the things, for example, is the radio up here, which actually it doesn't work, but it's interactive. Let me turn the train on.
Look at all those lights.
Put it into brake. That's it. You notice also it says brake pipe warning on there. So one of the things, the challenges that a lot of people had on the Long Island, if they weren't regular players of it, was knowing that they needed to charge the brakes. So if you try and make the train release its brakes with a brake pipe less than 90 psi, it will pop up this little reminder just to tell you to do that. It's a simple thing, but hopefully it will stop you from wondering why the train won't move.
Yeah. What we'll try and do, everybody, is for next week's live stream, we'll see if we can come up with a full list of of the improvements that have been made to the interior of the loco, so that you can kind of get an itemized list. You can get a feel for some of the things, how they're different. Some people are saying the chair looks a little bit lower. There is the ATC between the screens is slightly different.
It is.
So we should be able to kind of come up with a slightly more comprehensive list for you next week. But enjoy it and just kind of appreciate what it is for now, and we'll kind of go through an itemized list next week.
These signs are actually also glow in the dark as well. They literally will
see
glow in the dark.
Tinge.
Yeah, they actually do glow in the dark as well. But this is the M7A's passenger interior, and there's little things like he says trying to find it. I might be thinking of the M3. You got the PIS internally on the train as well. No, I think I'm thinking of a different train, the other one. So the M3, because there's one of the things that I know that was some time spent on is there's like a ramp for disabled access, and so where that ramp is has been modelled correctly for these versions of it as well.
Oh, I love that. That's great. Are we at Grand Central, by the way, Matt?
We are indeed at Grand Central.
Do you want to do a little? Should we do a little recce before you get started at Grand Central?
Yeah, let's go and have a look at Grand Central. So Grand Central Terminal, in reality, is two layers of platforms, plus you've got the passenger concourse. In this rendition of Grand Central Terminal, it is just this layer of platforms, not the one below, and not the passenger concourse. So it's just this area here. So you see it goes back up to the ramps here, which you can use to then access other platforms. But the other... the downstairs essentially is not accessible. There are tracks that lead off to it, and AI trains run up and down it, but they're not accessible by the player. I think this was our train, wasn't it? It'll do. We'll steal this one.
We'll do. Don't worry, everybody. We'll do map. We'll do scenarios, all of that kind of stuff over the course of the stream. Don't worry, we haven't forgotten. We might have forgotten at the start, but we won't forget all the way through. We will show you, don't worry.
God, it takes forever to walk down these long old trains. How has ATCC improved from Lear FD1003? Again, I'll let you judge for yourself, but fundamentally, massively, is the way I'm going to describe that. Again, lots and lots of help fine-tuning it. Is what's been involved here. Let's have a quick look at Grand Central Terminal. There is Grand Central Terminal. Quite a few trains in GCT at this minute.
Yeah, that looks
And then
pretty
you've got
big.
the corridor coming out. This is all underground up here, and at some point it becomes overground, and you end up in Harlem. I think it's Harlem 125th here. So we are good to... Actually, no, we should turn safety systems on.
That would be helpful. Just while you do that, Matt, obviously there has, in terms of playable services for this route, 260, I think, is the figure that's been thrown around. There are also AI services as well that are available for all, whether you're 8th gen or 9th gen consoles. We are getting a list from Joe as we speak. We're getting a list from everybody to try and make sure that we can make sure we've got as much information as possible.
Right, red and green signal means we're clear to go. I'm breaking the speed limit, so there we go. There's nothing new there. And yeah, Grand Central Terminal is pretty dark. So we've got this big cavern to go through, and then we start going into the tunnels. I've opened the window just to make the sounds a little bit louder and more present. Obviously, it's up to you whether you want to open windows or keep it quiet and so forth. We've tried to tune it again based on the feedback we've had about how loud they would be in reality.
So these are all got. So these are some of the new sounds that players can experience with the M7A. Sorry,
This is the M7A, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the new M7A. Oh, the new version of the M7A with its sounds on it. And the M3A has had a quite a significant. Both of them have had quite a significant overhaul on sounds. Essentially, it's a completely new sound set. There's a lot of work been done there. This train has got the 2 safety systems on board. It's got ATC and it's got Access. And just to give a quick outline of how Access works. So ATC. So this is ATC or Access. Is it Access? No, it's ATC at this point because I'm exceeding the restricting speed limit. So Access at the moment is off. ATC is on because the R light is enabled. And if you look in the HUD there, it says ATC R. So that's confirming I'm on ATC. ATC is controlling me. At some point, Access will kick in, and Access is not there to tell you what's coming along. Yeah, Access is there to make sure you're driving properly. It's checking your homework. So you still need to drive based on either having the HUD on so you can see the speed limits, or you need to drive because you know the speed limits, the same as a real engineer would. And then essentially Access will just complain and tell you what you should be doing right now, and then if you're not getting it right, then there'll be, words will be had and the train will stop. So that's essentially the goal of the Access system on here. ATC overrides Access where there are reduced signal aspects, so if you're approaching some kind of reduction, and where otherwise Access controls essentially what happens under normal conditions.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a few people from New York. Would love to see what your thoughts are on how accurate it is to real life. A few mentions about how dark it is. And from what Emela was saying in the chat, it sounds like it is about as dark as this normally. So it's a little bit eerie, isn't it? Can we do the horn, Matt? Go on. Let's get the horn going. High and low.
Oh, hello. I stood up. Let's not do that. No, I don't think there is a low horn on this. I think it's just the one.
Cool. First 2 comments from the horn are very good. The map we showed a little bit earlier. We will go into the map again a little bit later, but we showed kind of the initial part of it earlier.
Right, Access is actually ATC has just promoted me to normal, and Access is now taking control. And you can see that I say taking control. It's not a positive in terms. It's only positive train control. Only is there to stop the train, not to drive the train for you. But you can see where it says track speed 60. That is Access here, and you can see in the bottom right corner it says Access 60 now. So we've now got 60 limit according to that. But if you look in the HUD, in 1 mile there's a 45 mile per hour speed limit. You will get no warning of that without the HUD on, or without your own knowledge of that. So you still need to know to slow things down. But then we go into the tunnels. If you don't get the that right, then when the 45 hits, then all the brakes will come on because you're going too fast. So all this tunnel, by the way, is because we're travelling underneath central New York. So, if I remember rightly, we go under, I should know this, Big New York Park. Central Park, I think, do we go under?
Central Park sounds like a big New York Park to me.
Big New York Park, yeah. Wasn't it named after a coffee shop on a TV show?
You know what, I was actually watching said TV show before I came in here, so... there's a little factoid that I was going to find, and I forgot to copy it over to my script, so I'm going to quickly Google it while we go through some more questions.
Oh, Felonia says we're just going under a street. Okay.
That's a shame.
Fair enough. Park Avenue is what we're going under. Here we go. I forgot to slow down. ATC is now upset with me.
It's a great demo, Matt, for what ATC can do.
It is. This is
exactly
the
what
purpose.
we're planning.
This is exactly what I'm trying to do. We're getting light in the cab because of the all of the lights. This is a lit tunnel.
Yes. So track 61 is a storage track. Where is it? It's track 61. Yeah, it goes to a storage yard under the Waldorf Astoria Hotel. I don't think we model track 61, but factoid for you.
There you go. I don't know where track 61 is. Sounds like another train went in the other way.
So just some quick highlights of the route. So while we're going through and just coming over ground, we have 24 miles, so 39 kilometres with 18 stations, I believe. So we've got 5 scenarios with this pack: the M3A, the M7A, and the Yankees East 153rd Street station as well, which is a little branch that Matt was talking about earlier. 260 playable services with more AI. Highlight tonight is that something to highlight tonight is that Matt has not got all of the individual layers on his Xbox, so we will be showing you some of the layers next week. They're mainly stationary trains in sidings.
It's the wagons filling up, freight cars filling up sidings, and just making the railroad generally look a little bit more lived in. And that's common for everybody. There's no generational console limits there. That's everybody.
Yep, absolutely. And in terms of performance testing, Matt, obviously we've had a couple of routes in the sort of fairly recent past, which perhaps have had a few problems with performance. Have we seen any issues when we've been testing at all?
No, not at all. None at all. It's been running very well.
Okay, cool. So we've obviously come over ground now, which gives us a chance to talk about some of the scenic elements of the route. And obviously we're going through New York. What did we try and do with this particular route to make it feel like we're coming into the middle of a metropolis, like New York is, or I suppose coming out of a metropolis in this case. But what did we try and do to try and recreate the feeling of New York?
So it's about looking at the skyline, looking at some common photographs, and thinking about, what is it. One of the key things, for example, was Harlem 125th is actually quite a common location for photographs facing back into the city, and it's one of the things that, so with the earlier version of the route internally, when we started reviewing it, one of the things we found was that there are a couple of buildings. Let me just finish this, stop the train, and I'll get out and show you.
Nearly nailed it.
So there's a couple of buildings here, the one on the left and the red one on the right, that were missing. And it made such a huge difference to how this scene looks. So again, we went back and the team worked that out. So it's a lot of it has been about figuring out, what does the scene look like, and just capturing that busy feel, making sure the roads are busy, because New York, they're not quiet roads. So it's things like that, and capturing that, all the stuff that's going on around the railway, and making it feel like New York is alive.
Absolutely. Jason's asked, will this have the new sky boxes at all?
Well, this is technically the release build that I'm running here. Well, not the release build, but near enough. So it looks like it.
Nice. That's a welcome addition. We will just try and make sure that is actually the case before we actually go forward next week. But yeah, we'll double check that. But
whereas normally, if I'm using a preview core, the dev build on the PC, you can get stuff showing which is not there. This is what I've downloaded for this is I've actually taken the shipping builds, the latest shipping build release candidate, and put it on it. So in theory, there shouldn't be anything on here that isn't there in reality. This is the bridge over the Harlem River, which is really
Harlem
stunning.
River, sorry.
I think it's Harlem River, isn't it?
It's in the Bronx. It's the Bronx. It's the Bronx.
Oh, I don't know. The river.
Oh,
the body of water.
We're showing our lack of New York.
Let's go back to
here.
German station names.
Yeah. God, yeah, we're better at German station names than we are at New York geography, aren't we? Sorry, everyone. Sorry, all you native New Yorkers. It is the Hudson. Is it the Hudson?
It is. There's East River, the Hudson River. There you go. It's a body of water
now, aren't they? Yeah.
So we're coming around the corner here into Mott Haven Junction, heading for Melrose. And Mott Haven Junction is a big triangle junction. Slow down. What you'll find is that Yankees goes off to the left here. Again, if I look at the map, you can see Yankee Stadium going up here, and this is Mott Haven Junction. But we'll be carrying on in the same direction.
Another little factoid about the word Yankee, like a lot of New York names, like Harlem, it comes from Dutch. And Yankee is a derivative of Janke or Jank, which are obviously common Dutch first names. They were used by the British settlers as a derogatory word. Yankee was used as a derogatory word towards the Dutch settlers. And that's how they became the Yankees.
football stadium over there. Speed up a bit now. So this one of the other things with this route, which again is different to the Long Island line, is the signalling. You'll notice we just went past a flashing green light there, and the only two aspects you'll see on the signals are essentially stop, which is two reds, a red at the top and a red at the bottom. You can't proceed that past that one, or a flashing green, which is basically saying do what your cab signals tell you. There is one other aspect that can be shown in reality, but that's in exceptional circumstances, so it doesn't happen in anything we've got here. So those are the normal aspects on here, and the only time you see a signal is when it's protecting junctions and interlocking. The rest of the time you're running without real quotes signals, and you're just relying on the cab signals here to tell you what's going on. And by and large, you just do what it tells you. It will tell you what speed that you need to go to, otherwise than that, if you're not getting any special instructions, like L is 45, M is 30, and R is 15 miles per hour. And otherwise than that, if you're not getting any instructions, you follow the line speed, which you'll either get from the HUD or from your own knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely. A few people commenting on the volume of passengers on the route. It looks a little bit.
It does, doesn't it? I'm not
sparse.
quite sure why, given it the time of day. Yeah, okay. I'll have to find out why. What's going?
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, I'll find out what's going on with the passenger curves here.
Yeah, we're looking to implement the rush hour passenger system on
absolutely.
this route. Okay, cool. So yeah, that's something for us to investigate. Emaila's happy. This is her station. So Mod Emaila, thank you very much for the glowing endorsement, which is nice. Sorry, him. What am I talking about? Well, I mean, it's been a long day. Sorry, everybody. My brain is completely dead, and you'll probably hear a lot of different faux pas over the course of the evening.
Here come the excuses.
Yeah, here come the excuses. Sorry, Mailer. At least we did your station, okay. PIS, Matt. In terms of PIS, we talked about within the loco itself. On the stations, what's the PIS situation?
So the PIS on the stations isn't authentic to the real thing. It's we used the same boards that were added to the Long Island route, which is it gives you. It's obviously got all the right information, but the real ones are they look slightly different and they're a bit more detailed. But this is what we're able to get in for this release. There's also PIS, obviously the destination shown on the train as well.
Nice one.
Coming up to Tremont now.
Should we do the horn again, Matt?
Oh, I've been blowing the horn.
Okay, cool. We're in the position where I can't hear what's going on the stream again. So if you've heard the horn,
it's
great.
also different internally and externally. So if I shut the window,
a lot of people enjoying the sounds. It's really good to give a shout out to the audio team for this.
The audio team worked actually especially hard on this because they knew that there was a lot of critical feedback on the Long Island trains, and which was partly because of just lack of access and because we weren't able to get access to the Long Island. We haven't actually been able to get access to these ones either. But working with the local rail fans that we have been, we've been able to get a much better judge on where things needed to be improved, changed, and so someone sends us a video and can actually highlight for us, this is what's important, this is what's happening because of that, and then that information has made it so much easier for the audio team to get that together.
Yeah, great. Third rail, probably worth a discussion. Tell me what, Matt.
Third rail, it is third rail. It's bottom conductor third rail. So whereas in the UK you'd have top conductor third rail, in this instance it's covered on the top, and the third rail pickup shoe is actually on the bottom. I don't know if you can see it there. the third rail shoe is actually touching the bottom of it. So yeah, this is what they call a bottom conductor third rail, which is for safety purposes. It's obviously a lot safer. You can't as anywhere near as accidentally step on it if the hot bit is on the bottom compared to the top. But that's been implemented throughout everywhere it should be along the line. It's all third rail. It's all electric route.
Cool. A couple of comments in the stations are too short for the train. Yeah, that is intended.
The stations are the length of the real train stations, and the trains are the real length of the trains. You can walk up and down the trains, so really you don't matter. For these smaller stations, as long as you can get on the train, it's kind of almost enough. There isn't enough room here to do 8-car platforms all the time. Max, no, there's no selective door control. No, we haven't got that to that yet. It's one of the things the team want to look at in the future, but they haven't got it into game yet.
Should we get some exterior camera shots? Have you got enough time? Yeah, there we go. Oh no, we're in the position where the camera's going just about as quick as the loco.
Thelonious says, any New Haven traffic faked with the M7s? No, we opted not to add the fake traffic in. There's a number of options there. Essentially what's missing here is what you might call the red trains. So these are the blue trains, but there are the red ones that essentially would head on over to the New Rochelle and up onto New Haven, and so those aren't there. So that's one of the reasons that the route might feel a bit light. And they're partly it's not only are they red, they're actually a different class. So the M8 predominantly would run there. So if that's a DLC you'd like to see in the future, make your voices heard.
Yeah, absolutely. A few people mentioning about why are we stopping at North White Plains and not going all the way down to Southeast. Now, there are lots of different things that we have to consider when we make a route like this, and there are sort of natural stopping points. There are also scopes of different projects that we try and work on. So, Matt, I guess my kind of question is why have we chosen to do the route this particular length? Is it kind of a quality over quantity argument, or is it more of there's something more to it than that?
There's a number of things when we're looking at scoping a project out. We kind of looked at we look at a number of different factors, and in this instance, we knew that this section, particularly until the junction, so from Grand Central up to this junction here, is quite complex to build because you're in New York City, and when you look at the timetable, there are a lot of services that run from Grand Central to North White Plains, and that's their back and forth loop. So it is a terminal point for trains. It's not stopping in the middle of nowhere. There are other train services that run Grand Central Express to White Plains and then hold on stopping service up to Southeast. And then there are diesel trains, because beyond Southeast, which is the end of the electrification section, you then have the diesel trains which run up to Wassac, I think it is. And I think the total mileage is 80 something miles, if I remember rightly. I might be misremembering that, but it's a fair journey for the end of the line. And so we kind of looked at the various options that we had for that. And this is Botanical Garden with the funky car park, I think it is. Essentially what we came down to was really want to give the team the time to do this New York corridor justice, rather than overstretching and potentially diluting that effort across the longer section of the route, because it adds, I can't remember exactly what it adds. I think it's another 10 or 15 miles and a few more stations. And stations, actually, particularly in an area like New York, are actually quite tricky to build. So stations are become one of the more complex things we build in a route, so we have to be really careful when we add new stations, because it can massively change the time it takes to make the route. So essentially it was North White Plains is a sensible terminating point for the route. It's where trains do terminate in the timetable, it would have been nice to go to Southeast or even Wassac, but they were. This was the decision that we took, was to try and focus the team on doing this section of the route, full justice.
Okay, brilliant. And because another question that was asked quite a lot is the backporting of some of the features of this particular route to something like Long Island. So any of the improvements to this particular loco, or any of the audio changes, or whatever essentially, is that planned to be
There's
backported
nothing
into
planned for that, but it has been discussed, and there's obviously a great keenness to do that. It's a fairly obvious thing to want to do, but that's got to compete with other schedules. And I know Adam at the moment is very focused on getting that backlog of the stuff that's already been discussed, getting that out. But it is on the list of things that we want to look at doing at some point. So if it becomes a thing, you'll see it add on to the Preserve Crew task list. It's here for them to bring across. One of the things is it's not just a question of, for example, bringing the sounds across, because the sounds tie into the new physics. The new physics change how the trains behave and also tie into the controls being a bit different on this version of the train. And which means you start dragging more and more and more and more across, and then the gameplay needs to be updated and so on and so forth. So that's not a reason to not do it, but it's just to explain that it's not a 5-minute job, basically, to just copy the sounds across.
It's not
it needs
pick
to be
up
something
and place back, is it?
No, it's something that we really need to plan in properly to do, but there is, a strong desire to go ahead and do that, but we don't have it in a plan yet, no.
No, and I think the same goes for extensions to the route, adding stations, that kind of thing. The same answer really, is that it's not currently planned. Obviously, if there is a big old groundswell from you guys, if that's something that you really, really want us to do, we can look at what that scope would look like, but it's not currently planned, not currently in the roadmap, and all of the work that would happen on it will kind of have to come after the other projects that we're currently working on, including things like Spirit of Steam, or some of the work that's going on with the core game as it stands. But if you want to look at what we're working on currently, you can check out the roadmap. We actually released a new roadmap on Tuesday, a new kind of format to the roadmap. So if you missed it on Tuesday's live stream, Matt and Nat went through some of the bits and pieces that we're currently working on, including some interesting new Spirit of Steam updates, including motion blur. Lots of people enjoyed the video of that, as well as a couple of bits and pieces on things like and preservation crew news as well. So if you want to check that out, it's on the website now. We're going to try and give a little bit more of a deep dive into what's going on in the world of development, and it looks like Matt has been pinged.
Wasn't paying any attention at all, I've got to be honest. I was looking at the scenery and saying, what can I show? Bang! Oh, yeah, whoops. So get an emergency brake. You notice the brake pipe warning came up, which is handy to remind you that in the middle of being totally bemused and taken off centre by strange things happening on the train, it's just there nice to remind you of what's going on and what you've probably forgotten.
Good demo again, Matt.
Perfect. This is the demo that I really wanted to show. Actually, is ATC working great. It is genuinely the ATC has come on in leaps and bounds, and one of the biggest areas and access has been the focus on that, working with the beta team, particularly as I said with the locals that have helped us out. Actually getting tons of feedback and back and forth with so many different things and changes and so forth. So it's been a huge focus of work, and they're telling me that it's running really well now, so I've got to take that as on faith, because I don't know, I don't drive these things in reality. It's fun to drive, I'll give it that. I mean, it makes sense, it's something that's quite easy to do once you get used to it and you just follow. So for example, you can see that ATC has dropped me down to a limited aspect. You see the L that's lit up and it says ATCL on the bottom right. Well, that tells me I'm on a 45 limit. The blue dot on the HUD is also always going to tell you your highest speed, regardless of whatever system is active at the time, so ATC or access. So if you're not 100% sure and you don't remember what L and M and R give you as speeds, the HUD will tell you. Yeah, so you get this information, so it's quite easy to drive to.
Nice one. So Matt, how far are we going on route with the M7A?
This one, actually, Wakefield.
Oh, okay, wonderful. Okay, that's great. So what we're going to be doing now, folks, is we're going to be heading over and trying out the M3A, and we're going to go from the other side of the route. So we're going to then finish at Wakefield a little bit later on. So yeah, here's the BIS again.
To show you what to expect.
Some great camera work there, Matt. I also noticed that you'd moved away from blaming the chat to blaming scenery. I think that's your new calling.
It is, yeah. Darn that tree for distracting me. Hashtag blame the trees.
Okay.
Right, let's go ahead and switch over to the M3. And we're going to start this one at North White Plains. Someone asked if we could see the depot. This service starts in the depot.
Can we see the scenarios?
Yes. Train to the game. So this is a scenario that covers the Yankee Stadium event. So you've got a one going to the Yankee Stadium there. Peak performance is final peak service train. There you go. Buds to the Big Apple. Crestwood down to Grand Central. Snow Globetrotters. See, they like the puns in the gameplay team. It becomes very difficult to localize into different languages. That's the problem. So that's why we try and avoid the puns, because they just don't make any sense in any of the language. And then you've got the Subway Series Direct there as well. So you've got plenty to go. So they've got five services. You've got the route intro, the M3 and the M7. I mean, they're pretty much similar trains to drive, but it covers some of the unique characteristics of them, and specifically where the buttons are more than anything else. Explore on foot. You've got the usual the map and places you can spawn to, and then there is of course the journey. Big Apple a day. Oh dear.
Oh dear.
Budding engineer. No.
Oh dear. Taking the Mickey as well.
I know. Retro
Metro. They've gone to town on this one, haven't they?
Lucky number 7. Snowway home. There you go. Right. Okay. Words will be had. Don't worry.
Nothing will be as good as Duran though.
No, absolutely.
Or as we found out, Duran. I think Duran.
Let's not get into that.
Yeah,
we're just getting it wrong again.
Yeah, to be fair, we've done enough German streams in the past, Matt. Let's
go and misname a major American river instead.
You got it right, I got it wrong. So I think it was the Harlem River.
No, I called it the Harlem River. I think it's actually the Hudson or East, isn't it? I don't know. One of those things. Right, okay. Train 368, which I picked as a later in the day one. There it is. North White Plains to Grand Central. And we'll run this one down to, I don't know. We'll see how far we get before it's time to stop. Right, this is the M3A, and again, you'll notice quite different in the cab, because in the Long Island one, there's a cab signalling board down here on the table. In this one, it's up here. And again, this is Access and ATC. So let's go ahead and get the cab powered up. We're talking about older stock here, so this is a little bit more clunkier controls, shall we say. Right, that's it. Brake pipe is charged. Let's go ahead and see the radio down here as well. Again, it doesn't do anything. You can play with it. Doesn't do anything. It was a neat thing that we saw how it worked, and so we thought, well, we can give you something to play with. People tell us they like buttons to press, so we made a button you could press. Right, there you go. That's all the safety systems switched on. Let's get going. Let's actually have a quick look at North White Plains. Right.
Just do a quick roll call of all of the carriages.
Yeah, so this is North White Plains. As you can see, got our first freight car victims over here. These were subbing in from Sandpatch Grade. There are a variety of different freight cars subbing in across routes like Peninsula Corridor for the ballast trains, the Sandpatch Grade, Sherman Hill. So there's a variety of stuff to pick up on. Right, let's get going. Traction interlock doesn't release until the brake cylinder is emptied.
Important note we've not mentioned so far is the physics have also been reworked on both of these locos as well. I'm not sure we've touched on that quite yet. We've talked about the audio a lot, but
no, we haven't. The physics. So the physics has been reworked partly to improve what was there before, but also because it is actually slightly different between the two trains. Metro North went for a different gearing ratio or something. Technical terms, my physics engineer told me earlier, it's a different ratio set than the ones on Long Island, so that's been incorporated into the setup. So that's a difference, but I think there's been a number of other reworks on the physics as well, to improve them. I think brakes had issues before as well.
Cool. One of the things. Sorry, should we do some horn action? There we go.
Let me shut the door so you just get the inside. I like that horn actually. That's really nice. I've been driving the M7 so much I'd forgotten to blow the horn on this one.
Love for the horn on that one, I think, already.
Yeah,
which is nice.
Really, really happy with what the audio team have been able to achieve on the audio overall, because I think, if I remember rightly, we worked with Jim Milliskey as well, who helped us with the Clinchfield horn and the Sherman horns. No, sorry, it wasn't. There was someone else that helped us with the Clinchfield horn, but I think that he helped us with this one as well. So again, recordings from real train horns.
Yeah. So that was the SD40 that you get in the expansion, the New Journeys expansion pack, the one that we would like to backport into the actual Clinchfield.
Yeah. So that was actually
yeah, okay.
that wasn't Jim. That was one of our other people that we worked with, Ryan, that helped us with that horn. But it's actually a similar RS something L. I can't remember exactly what. I think it was an RS3L on that, and I think it's an RS2 on one of these at least. Yeah, it's always good working with all of these people who have got access to really cool things. I'd love a big collection of train horns, but I imagine it would probably be one too many things for my wife to deal with.
You've got a back cave, Matt. You could just stick them all in there.
God, imagine that internal garage with a
great
train
way to
horn
signal the end of a meeting, wouldn't it?
Ooh.
I've given him an idea now.
A train horn in the office. Yeah. How to be popular in one easy honk.
I mean, it'd be ideal for, like, if you want to sort of get everybody down for lunch at the same time. Just rather than having one of those big old things in a warehouse, you could just have a train horn instead.
Yeah. This is interesting, actually. There's a train actually pulled into the station, waiting for another train to leave, because on the same as on the Long Island, because you only get red lights at interlockings, trains don't actually stop. Like in the UK or Europe, anywhere else, trains stop at the red light and they don't enter an occupied block. Whereas on routes like this, they can enter an occupied block. Restricting doesn't mean stop. It just means go 15 miles an hour and be prepared to stop on site. So that you'll find that sometimes you'll get these moments where a train crawls into a station waiting for this other train. At some point that train will disappear off, and then we'll be able to, you'll see this train then pull in and stop for its stop.
Nice. What was I going to say? There was something I was going to talk about very quickly. So we talked about the roadmap earlier, and I missed a perfect opportunity to talk about what we featured in the roadmap around Harlem, which was the new track improvements for snow and for rust. Now, I don't think we'll show those tonight, will we? But we'll try and get those shown next week during the launch stream.
I can certainly show because I'll show you the junctions in a minute. Someone's asked for door close sound, so I'm going to do that next.
Sure. God, we just give tonight, everyone.
And then if I fly over here, actually I need to switch camera. Is it that way round? No, it's not that way round. It's this way round. Ugh, I wish I had a keyboard plugged in so I could press shift right now.
And before we get to that point, collectibles on this route. Do we want to go into collectibles, or do we want to keep it a little bit of a surprise?
We'll do collectibles next time. Not entirely at all, because I haven't prepped and planned myself for that question. So yeah, this is one of the things that we showed on there, is that you see the check rails here, and the frogs are now they're rusty, which they kind of have been before, but the difference is that previously this was a hard line. If you look at the screenshots that we showed, if we go and have a look at one of the previous routes, like even Taranda Ramp, you'll see that that was a hard line, whereas now it's a nice smooth transition into the rust. And then in the snow, you'll find that Rusty Track doesn't get snow as well. So just again, it's just a small thing, but it makes a difference to how it looks. Right, let's come outside. Surprisingly quiet, this train. Even the videos I was watching of this one, I'm like, no.
Can we see the interior as well when we get to the next station?
Yep, here when we get to White Plains Track 2. This signal is actually, we're being held down here, even though there isn't anything in front of us. We're actually being held down at a medium signal here, 30 miles an hour. For while we do this crossing, and once we're clear of this crossing, access will then the ATC will release an access. There you go, access just took over. So as soon as the railway track speed increases, we can speed up, and then we'll be able to do 50 miles an hour. So you can see the system. It's not really flipping between ATC and access so much as it's normally access, and then ATC can override it with reductions based on the signals and what's going on up ahead of you.
So you kind of got two lines of defence almost.
Yeah, well, the reason it was done is because previously there was nothing to stop anything going wrong with the train or engineer concentration or anything like that between signals, and the engineers were only being checked, if you like, when there was an aspect ahead of them, essentially. Then the train would actually be watching them for whether they adhered to the LM and the R speed limits appropriately. But if the speed limit was an N, then it was just kind of free-for-all. And sometimes, concentration happens. Also, anything can happen, really. So there was a mandate put out around the States to launch positive train control, PTC, you would have heard in all sorts of news bulletins and so forth. And Access, the Advanced Civil Speed Enforcement System, is an implementation of a PTC system, and the idea is that it's constantly watching you, and it will look after everywhere that's not covered by signals. So effectively you're constantly being monitored to make sure you're not breaking any speed limits, and then if you are, it will drop you down underneath that speed limit, unless you're really bad, in which case it'll bring the train to a stop.
Concise and eloquent as ever, Matt. Explaining things that I don't fully understand.
I've got PowerPoint
feel like I'm
ready.
a little bit more intelligent.
Let's go and have a look at the train.
Well, you can see it's a little bit more of an older model, can't you?
Oh yeah, we're in old time now. Hey, there's that platform.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, I really like that. Not any fluorescent lighting here, unfortunately. Oh, yes, actually there is. The emergency exit sign. Is that? Yeah, there we go.
They'll be
glow in the dark as well.
So yes, train. Let's get back in the front.
Did you get your list, Matt, of the AI services in as of yet?
No, I don't have a list of that, so I'll have to get that for next week.
Okay, I'm making my list. I'm checking it twice.
I've got a list of the DLCs that provide the additional stock. So
Let's
like
hear it.
Sandpatch Grade, Sherman Hill, the Peninsula Corridor, and one other which isn't even out yet. So we'll cover that later.
Oh, you tease.
Right.
The I'll give a shout out. So there's Migmad Marine in the chat. So shout out to Westchester Trains and Hobbies and the White Plains NY, a couple of blocks from that station.
Nice.
I mean, a few people I think might have guessed the other layer that is has been mentioned.
Yeah, they would be right.
It's Horseshoe, if you're not watching the chat.
I can't remember exactly what was used off Horseshoe, but it's about providing a variety of stock filling sidings and the like. Right, we're on our way to Hartsdale.
Thelonious has asked an interesting question. I don't know if we're able to answer it, but how is Metro North as a licensing partner?
So, Metro North are, like a lot of the companies we deal with, really cool. However, they it's kind of unusual in that it's a legal relationship, as in it's mostly about most of our communication tends to be with lawyers. And therefore it's mostly about making sure that we correctly represent the brand. We don't get access, for example, via Metro North. We don't get any kind of any help like that. So it's enabling us to represent the trains. But for example, we've had a couple of other railroads where we've had able to go out, visit them, and ride up and down the line and so forth. So but that's fine. Every railroad has a job to do, and it's not this. So we're obviously very, very grateful for everything we're able to get. So Hartsdale has an interesting characteristic on the platform which wasn't going to be present, and you can thank the beta testers for making sure it was, and also the artist in question who ultimately did the work, of course. And that's these statues. It's basically an art emplacement. It'll be easier to see when I stop.
So that's brave when you're coming to the end of the stop to do the exterior camera there, but
it wouldn't be the first time I missed a station.
No, it wouldn't be. Not even when we're on stream together.
At least my bell isn't on. That's all I'm saying,
We do we've got a 4-up challenge planned, and I did put the bell in just for old time's sakes. So you can look forward to that one in a couple of weeks. And I mean, by look forward to it, I hated every single second of it. But
it's so good. It's such a the challenge. Sam has knocked this one out of the park. I did it myself just over a lunch break, and I'm like, that was fun. That was serious fun.
Those statues are very cool, though. Sorry, you're going back to that. We'll come back to the 4-up challenge in a second. But the statues are very, very cool. I assume they're meant to represent the workers who engineered the railway way back
I actually
when.
haven't looked up the research to sort of understand exactly what the meaning is behind this. But I know that the artist in question did look it up and found out the artist's name and so forth. So it was. But yeah, it's really cool. And I'm really glad we were able to get that in. Actually, it's one of the really nice things about when we've got, some locals in the beta team. They can, make sure that we fairly understand what is and isn't important. And they were very unanimous that was important.
Absolutely. Oh, very good question in the chat. Not really relevant to this, but when is TSW's 5th birthday? Well, it's funny you should ask, everybody, because it's actually next Wednesday, the 16th of March. So we will be 5 on Wednesday, and we've got a special stream planned for you that we'll tell you a little bit more about next week. But yeah, it will be Matt and Nat going through a little bit of a history of TSW.
If it all comes off the way we're looking for it, then it'll be really fun. It should be. Will it be really fun regardless? But different fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, 5 years. I mean, I've been here for 1, and it feels like quite a long time. So
I've been here for just shy of 10.
We all get like little individual badges, don't we, for years of service?
That's it, 5, 7 and 10.
And I'm looking forward to you getting presented your 10 on the stream. They're probably because they do the CEO does a little speech that's been given by your line manager,
Yeah.
and I can only imagine that yours, Matt, is probably going to be about. It's probably going to take up the whole of the company meeting, which is about half an hour. So,
Well, or the other way, it'll be, it's Matt. You already know him. He's infamous.
here's a pink badge specifically for him.
Yeah, if it's not pink, I'm giving it back.
If you are interested in badges, by the way, and this is by no means a segue that I intended, but if you are interested in badges, we are doing a 5th birthday livery designer competition where you can win some. They're not length of service badges for Dovetail, but they are Train Sim World 2 badges that we sometimes give away at things like expo events and things like that. So if you want to get your hands on some, and they are pretty coveted, we don't give them away very often.
No.
The livery designer competition is there. It's to celebrate our 5th birthday. So if you can come up with something celebratory, we'd love to see them. We're always really excited by people who create interesting and different things on livery designer competition. So there's a news post or an article which went live, I think earlier this week, maybe yesterday. That's how long this week feels like it's been, which gives all the details. Max, I don't think there's going to be a specifically 5th birthday sale. Well, I don't know. Maybe on Dovetail Live. I don't know if we've got that. I don't know if we've got it planned. But there will be other sale action going on in the next few weeks.
One of the other things the team have gone to lengths to do on here, you'll notice there's things like these. Where have we gone? Oh, hello. I'm being followed. I must not be going fast enough. It's because of all the waffling. Let's get the doors closed. I don't want to go yet. I'm trying to get ahead of the darn train. So yes, you see that there's the I think these are impedance bonds or something like that, and then you've got these terminations for the third rail connection, all sorts of little stuff around the track which help to again make it just feel a little bit more realistic.
Yeah, I think the scenery and the kind of the general ambience of the route feels really good. I like it. You've got sort of all of the bells and whistles you'd expect from sort of a city route, and obviously we're coming into the more built-up area now. So I'm assuming we'll kind of get to the point where it gets gradually more and more urban as you go through it.
Yes. Yeah, so there's a few sidings come up at Crestwood, and sometimes some of the surface is stable there, or start from there, and then we're not too far now from Wakefield, where the junction is, and from basically Wakefield onwards, we're into the city.
Nice. Bendix, good question. And again, I assume, Matt, you'll hopefully be able to answer this one. Do the M3A and M7A have specific roles in which services they do, or is it all random?
Different services. There are different service counts on each of the trains, and they do different services. It's not a substitution thing.
Okay.
I don't know the story behind why it was done like that, but that's the way it's been done. Rather than just using substitution. Substitution with different trains combined with liveries actually gets really difficult in the way the system works, so that actually makes it easier to be authored, as well as you'll get a set of things which this train does.
Yeah, cool. People asking about extensions to the route and adding on additional stations, things like that. Not currently in the plan.
And it's Yankees East 153rd to Croton Harmon is the Hudson line, not the Harlem line. So it's not technically an extension. Going to South East would be an extension. But neither of them are on the cards. So.
No.
Coming up to Crestwood.
Through my Any mastery challenges planned on this route?
I don't know what. I think there is mastery challenges planned on this route, but I don't know what they are.
I think that, yeah, I'm pretty sure there are. If I'm, I hope I'm not going out on a limb here, so don't take me at my exact word, but I believe the challenges will get you things like decals for the livery designer. I believe.
Oh, there we go. In fact, I've just got an answer, and we got access to information about what trains do what services, and so they've been set up as that service. So the M3 and the M7 are doing services they would do in reality.
Cool.
Many break, yes. I wasn't sure. I was quite impressed at how well that. It's a good example, actually, of the way the physics have been changed. Because in the Long Island versions, you wouldn't have had no hope, because the brakes where brakes have been tuned up quite considerably for this to be much closer to reality.
The timing's real or the AI based? I think they're reflective of the real timetable.
I think they're real.
Yeah. You were saying before we got on the stream, Matt, that it's about 80% of the real life.
Yeah, it's not the 100% of the full Harlem Line timetable, but it's about, I think, about 80% of it. And I believe that the service namings, timings, and so forth are all, again, it's all what's there should be representative of the real timetable.
Cool.
That wasn't a Nebworth. A Nebworth involves going through the station at line speed and realising, just as you hit the station, maybe we should have stopped here. The key thing for a Nebworth is there should be no way you should be able to stop at any part of your train at all in the station. Otherwise it's a Natalie. Oh, I've been corrected. It's 96% of the real timetable.
96.
That's
okay.
That's very specific.
That's certainly pretty much full coverage, really, isn't it? Apart from that little pesky 4%.
What's a JD? Stopping long before the tunnel with your bell on. Before the tunnel with your bell on, basically, yeah.
Yeah, basically it's an undershoot, if anything.
It's an undershoot,
Stopping 100 metres outside of the station, and then opening your doors so the passengers have to walk.
This station has a really cool detail from reality as well. It's not used in any of the scenarios, but it's really neat. Let me get the train stopped, and then I'll fly over and show you. Oh, doing a door opening from the outside.
Are they compatible with livery design? I believe they should be. Both of these locos.
Yes, should be. Yeah.
So we want to see loads and loads of these on Creators Club, please.
So these wooden platforms here, basically what happens is when they can't stop trains in this platform over here, they'll stop them over here. And then they've got these big long wooden planks they pull out to bridge the distance across. And then trains come in here and passengers will get out across here and walk over to the platform this way. So these are permanently placed, hence why they've been put into the route. But no, none of the trains actually will use it in the gameplay, but it is a fixed feature of the route, so it's been included. Used when the other platform is closed. There you go. I knew it was something like that. It was one of those things that things get explained to me, and then minutes pass.
And then your brain fills up with other things.
Yeah. Exciting spreadsheets and PowerPoints. And
you love a PowerPoint.
I do. I live in PowerPoint.
What year is this set in? It's modern day, isn't it? Or
modern-ish, yeah. Basically modern day. So, unlike a lot of routes where they generally end up being, you can sort of pin it down to a particular month. Like Great Western is September 2015, and Northern Transpennine is 1983. I think Tees Valley's 1989. This one is modernish, kind of now. Now is a really strange time because now is obviously constantly changing, but
that's very true. Actually,
now.
Yeah. In terms of the source material was based
on now.
Now, okay.
Based on the latest we could get hold of, yeah. And what's in Google.
And what is currently in Google, yeah.
Or which obviously and many cab ride videos. Quite a lot of cab ride videos on YouTube that we were able to look at.
Yeah, I mean it's a really good point. I know we've talked about source material a few times on live streams, but for a route like this where perhaps we don't have access to the locos themselves, or as we were talking about in terms of the partnership with the licensor, it's more of a legal relationship. Actually, some of that source material can come in all shapes and sizes. And you mentioned YouTube videos, Google Earth, all of those kinds of things. Are there any other places, weird, wonderful places that you get the information other than sort of other people who are who use this every day?
Yeah, there's all sorts of places that we'd use it for. I mean, without a doubt, I would say one of the most useful sources of information has been the people that we've spoken to, actually, because they've, knowing the area, gone out and saw, this is a photograph of the thing I'm talking about, whereas we just go and find something that looks like it because we don't know any better, and so they've provided this. They've spent again. I want to sound a big shout out to the folks that have helped us out. If they're on the chat and they want to out themselves, I'll let them do that. But just so much respect for the time they've taken to help us out. And get us the information to help make it as accurate as possible.
Nice one.
It's literally made a huge difference to the end result.
Just when we get set off, Matt, do you want to do another quick map run from the White Plains depot? There we go.
Oh, from the White Plains depot, might be up here. So this is White Plains depot here, where we started. Going into White Plains station, and then going from station to station. This is us leaving here, so Crestwood would be up here. There's a little bit more going on there. So we follow down from where we are. Then you get to this is where the yard is. Sorry, down here. And then you get to down by Wakefield. There, which is the trains going to New Haven go down, and New Rochelle go via this way here, how fast am I going? Oh, look at that for timing! Exactly on the speed limit.
Wow, it's almost like you've got a sixth sense for that, Matt, which is weird because you don't tend to pay attention to it most of the rest of the time.
To be honest, when I flipped it back, I'm like, you know what? I'm either going to be in the station or I'm going to be doing 100 miles an hour. Turns out neither of them are true, but this is more luck than judgment. This is an interesting station as well because you've got a big interchange with all these highways going over, and roads going over the top as well. So it's quite a different sort of approach compared to a lot of them. They've got the road network there. What screen percentage? So this is an Xbox Series X. So this is running at 4K. Which is essentially, because I'm streaming at 1080, it's like running at 200% screen percentage, essentially. But yeah, this is console. This is Xbox Series X. Hence also why the frame rate is stonking.
We're going to do Steam next week.
Sorry?
Yeah, we'll try Steam next week. PC, not Spirit of.
You had me worried there for a minute.
Matt just had a mini heart attack.
Do what? Do what?
That gets very confusing in meetings. Steam locos, Steam platform, live stream. There's been many conversations where Steam stream and Steam have been mixed up. Crazy Killer, we'll do night and adverse weather next week, so you can take a look at that next week. Today we're just going to kind of do fair weather stuff, so you can get a sense of what the route's like. in sort of the fair conditions, and so you can see all of the scenery and stuff. We'll do night lighting, and we'll do adverse weather next week.
Someone said, will the improvements be ported to Boston Sprinter for time establishers and so forth? So it's not just a question of taking these changes, but Brandon's actually looking at Boston's signal stuff in his own time at the moment, actually, because it's something he's really interested in. And at some point we'll be looking at seeing what we can do there. So it's not just a case of copying what's been done here, but the overall signalling system itself in the case of Boston. But like I said, someone's looking at it, but we haven't got any targeted release date for it yet.
FD, the track and sleepers look really good. Was there improvement there? Thank you for the compliment. Yeah, Matt, you take this one away.
So again, the infrastructure team have spent a lot of time. Track is one of their things. Track, signals, and everything in between, essentially, is the infrastructure team. And one of them in particular, Ben, has spent a lot of time, actually, even in his own time of an evening, just looking through the way that the track visually is set up. And again, it was this kind of effort that fixed the rusty track X sections and how it was weathered, and we spent some time looking at sleepers. One example, for example, was that we had when we looked at the over the Harlem Bridge, the sleepers really didn't look very good there because there was no ballast. Essentially, they were just onto the wooden base, and they really didn't look very good. So again, we spent a bit of time and worked out an improvement to make it look better on there as well. So yeah, the routes had a lot of love from all of the teams, to be honest, to try and capture this important area. It's well known. It's
nowhere to hide.
Yes, exactly. And it's really pleased with how it's come out. Very, very pleased with the trains. I mean, the setup, the RT teams, the audio have really. This has been a passion project for them to spend a lot more time on them than might be expected for copying what looked like virtually identical trains from the Long Island. Actually has required extensive work to make them appropriate for this and also improve them from where they were.
A few people talk about night lighting. It's not good. Well, I'm going to say off the bat, it's probably not going to be quite like people are using Dresden as like the pinnacle of what we've done in the past, and that's absolutely fair. It's not going to it's not going to be quite at that level, I don't think. But the work that was done on Dresden has been used to inform some of the night lighting we've done en route since. So people have mentioned Tarandarampa, the lighting on that as well. We've taken some of the same approaches and the same learnings that we've taken from that to put onto kind of all of the routes that we look to do in the future. Morgan's asked, any varying ballast colours on this route?
That I don't know. Wakefield. So we're about to get the crossover there with the line going out to the northeast corridor. This line effectively goes out here via Pelham and so forth, and then sort of here somewhere is where New Rochelle is, and the northeast corridor. That if you use TSW 2020, that's that New Rochelle.
Toby, do we have any shunting or couplings to do on this line?
I'm going to try and stall for time until someone tells me the answer to that question. I'll if I get an answer to that, I'll let you know. I think so, but I don't know so. Probably one of the most iconic bits, Mr. J&B, is Harlem 125th Street. If you go and look for photographs of Harlem 125th Street, you know it's a quite iconic image, that, and He's not replying. He's probably gone for a cup of tea or something.
We don't have a release date for Horseshoe Curve yet. As soon as we do, we'll put it on our website. That's normally the rule of thumb. If you have missed any, because we were coming kind of towards the twilight / sunset of the stream, we've not got too long to go before we're back in Wakefield. If you missed anything, if you've come in a little bit late, we probably covered the question that you might have asked. So we recommend, if you have come in a little bit late, just to watch the beginning part of the stream again, because it's got a lot of information in there. We'll try and do a little recap before we finish, but we do cover quite a lot of ground. You get to hear everything, you get to see everything as well, that we've showed you over the course of the stream. And Simon's GoPro videos, yeah, I think this route is normal price. I think if you look at the pre-order on Steam, which is live now, 10% off, is £22.49, I think, which equates to £25 being the price.
There you go, folks. So that's pretty much wrapped us up for, we're overlapped now essentially from where we went northbound.
Past Wakefield, sorry. Again, me not paying attention.
Woodlawn was probably what I meant to say. Actually, this is Woodlawn. So Woodlawn is the station just beyond the interchange here.
Liam, there's no pre-order discount on console as of yet. I don't know if I know what the plan is for consoles as of yet.
Full scroll through the timetable, we can do that.
Yeah. Let's take a look through that.
So, in the timetable, you've got 49 services with the M3, 214 with the M7. Remembering the M3 is the older train, so they naturally use it less. Let me scroll to the top. So you've got Crestwood, which is a depot usually. North White Plains, normally a service starting in North White Plains, remember it starts at the depot. These southeast ones, north to or from southeast, are the generally ones which are going to be an express. So your North White Plains and then your non-stop to Grand Central. There's a yard move in Grand Central Terminal. Well, we got more yard moves. So what am I looking at? This is the M3, I think, isn't it?
So yard moves then would imply that there are coupling, shunting.
At least it's a move within a yard. It may not involve coupling or shunting, but it will be
coupling. Let's call it coupling from now on.
Darn you! Get your bag. So again, it's a fairly similar pattern in terms of the M7. There's just a lot more of it because it's the main train that's used on the line. So southeast, North White Plains, and again, where it says southeast, what it means is it's a non-stop. It's an express service and doesn't stop between North White Plains and Grand Central Terminal. The North White Plains services are the stoppers, so you can see the difference here. 44 minutes for a southeast to GCT Express, and then an hour and 6 minutes for a stopping service. So you kind of get an idea there. This 713 GCT to Croton Harmon, that'll be one that runs up to Mott Haven, turns left and takes you as far as Yankees, and then it'll AI take it beyond there, because obviously beyond Yankees isn't included. That's heading up the Hudson Line, technically, that one. So someone actually asked earlier on if Hudson Line trains were included as AI. They're actually drivable to or from Yankees as well.
Nice.
So tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of services there. Lots to do and lots to keep busy with. And like I said, it's all based on the real timetable. So it should be fun.
Brilliant. Okay. So to recap tonight then, do you want to put the face cams back on, Matt, so we can cover everything? Or you could just multiply me if you like. Just have two of me. That would be wonderful.
No. That one. Yes.
There we go. We've got both of us. Oh, and two of me still.
That's the one I'm looking for.
JDception, we'll go with that.
I've got too many buttons to press, and that's just a bad idea for me.
So we are in a position where this is available for pre-order on Steam now. The release date is next Thursday, which is the 17th. We will be doing another stream, which is a launch stream on that. We'll be covering, I've got a list of things. We'll be covering night lighting, adverse weather. We want to be able to itemize the list of changes that have happened to both the locos on the interior. So you'll be able to hopefully cover that next week. It is 24 miles, 39 kilometres, 18 stations, includes the Yankees East 153rd Street station, and 5 scenarios, all with very punny names, I will add. And I think, 260 services plus some AI stuff which goes in the mostly in the sidings as nice kind of eye candy when you're going down the route. But yeah, there are new sounds for the M7A and the M3A. Again, you heard the horn. Hopefully you enjoyed the horn and the new sounds. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I've missed. Matt, can you think of anything off the top of your head?
Big improvements to the train's overall physics, signalling systems to what you've seen previously, and yeah, enjoy.
Wonderful. Okay. If you have any questions, we have got a forum thread up at the moment where if you do have any other questions, we can add them to our list for next week. Please feel free to do so. We'd love to have your thoughts. We are going to be back with Railfan TV next week. We're going to have a special stream for Train Sim World's 5th birthday next Wednesday. And we've got a few more other streams as well planned for you over the next couple of weeks. Hopefully they're offering something a little bit different to maybe what you'd be normally expecting. Think Festival of Rail all over again for 2 weekends. Yay. So we'll be covering quite a lot of stuff over the course of the next couple of weeks, which I'm sure you'll all be delighted for. And will also be a 4-up challenge squidged in there somewhere as well, which might well be the most memorable 4-up challenge of all time.
It's going to be ace. I've already heard the team talking about their epic escapades, and it's just going to be brilliantly funny.
Yes, for everyone apart from me. One of the other things to add to my list is the Yankee Stadium next week as well.
Yes, we'll show Yankees next week.
All right, let's finish it there for tonight then. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Cheers, Matt. Thanks for joining us and for driving, even if you did get pinged a couple of times.
It's just showing off the safety systems.
Yeah, there we go. I believe you, thousands wouldn't.
It's distracted by the trees.
Have a wonderful evening, everybody. Hope you enjoy. Remember, if you do enjoy it and you want to pre-order it, is 10% discount on Steam right now. And all of the other platforms will be live on the 17th of March. So have a lovely evening, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.